and welcome back to the old world once again, where we are covering the tournament series for this year's community tournament. Let me just do a quick volume check here. Nice. Seems fine. I'll just drop a message for the players here that I'm already also ready to go here. Yep, and we can actually see the exam picks here happening in real time. There we go. So going Carthage against Axum. Something that has been pretty popular here recently. I'll have to mark these for myself as well. So, Marauder. You can probably guess by the first pick here that Marauder was first pick and Rincewind was second pick. We are playing on a ultra-wide coastal rain basin here. Like I've broken here something here. So, and this is not a tiny one this time, so just a dual size. So you will likely be seeing action during this session already, if I had to guess. Let me hover over the settings here, so if something seems wrong, you can also yell at me in chat about it. Or maybe even in the YouTube comments afterwards. Default settings for everything here. Carthage going for a intelligent schemer. That's the starting archetype. While Axum went for a intelligent judge. Definitely, I think we have been seeing more judge later on in this tournament compared to when we actually started the series. And schemers haven't been as common compared to builders, for example, in these later rounds. So it's a bit interesting to see. Axum here, going for steadfast on first turn instead of putting a general on the unit here. Likely because it doesn't really have good enough general. So this is something that is actually kind of important to highlight because of how the math works. That if you get a 20% combat bonus or so, I don't remember the exact percentage for this, but any of the plus 25s is enough. You actually start hitting for 7s against the first camp, and hitting for 7 means that you can clear it in 3 turns instead of 4 turns. So having the promotion here is very important if you don't have a good governor. Carthage did go for traders first. And they also picked a promotion, picked Warden for that same 25%. A bit unfortunate for him though that he will need to force march here if he actually wants to clear this camp. And he doesn't actually have enough training to do so. So Carthage will be a bit slower in clearing here. Just because of the terrain being a bit unfortunate. No, this actually works out, right? 488 does equal 20, so we'll also get the clear here without missing anything. Let's see, Maxim did go for patrons first. I know that Rincewind does really like his patrons. Almost so that he is a landowner's disliker, one of the rare people to hold that opinion. I think likely that Sion is very vocal about landowners being strong, so. And they do have some really nice bonuses, so it's easy to like the landowners. Does have the luxury available from the start as patrons as well, but it's one of the awkward things about the patrons free luxury that you get from their cities is that it's sometimes very difficult to actually find the orders to slot it into a city or to a family. I would not be surprised if it sits here unused for a pretty long time. Usually until this camp gets cleared. Yep. It seems like both players will be clearing their first side here. Nice. Yes, for both of them. This... I'm surprised by the combat mats working like they did. But it's just... definitely nice to see the players be on such an even footing at the start, though. Let's take a look at the map itself. So it's an ultra-wide duel, so even if it's a small-sized map in terms of total landmass, but with the mountains here being only 3 tiles and the sea being only 2 tiles, you do get a lot of land on this map, so there's usually a decent amount of city sites. So in this case we have 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, I believe that's... no, actually the middle is still further, so it's 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, and these are the middle cities. So it's 9 for both players and then 2 contested sites. Which is a decent bit more than the average on these dual-sized maps. I believe the average is something like 16. And you are playing on non-ultra-wide. So getting a total of 20 sites, it's a bit more than that. In terms of geography, we have the... let's take a look at the rivers actually. Actually pretty bad river connections here for a ultra-wide coastal rain basin. It's pretty common that you see 4 or 5 rivers on both sides. But here we only have one in the capital and then one after this hilly terrain here. So it's pretty awkward for actual movement once again. Especially because this side is actually blocked off here for both players. Yeah, don't see any possible terrain here. So the players are kind of funneled into this middle sides before they can loop back to the southern side here. Sea side access on now. This is unlucky. This is not something that you see that often. It's actually not one sea, but it's 3 seas on a coastal rain basin because of a volcano has been placed into the sea. So there's actually really bad naval movement. This area cannot basically be contested after this middle city is taken. Or rather, well, I guess you can contest it a bit with these 2 cities. But does make coastal reinforcement a bit awkward. I will be very surprised to see any boats on this map, just from the layout here. I don't know if this is actually a bug. I don't know if coastal rain basin is actually supposed to be completely sailable on one side. There we go. So Axum has settled the second city, which is a champions. Very default here for playing against Carthage, especially when you have this ore in the city, and you even get horses, so Even though this is really far away from the front line, one of the downsides of playing these coastal rain basin maps or these ultra-wide maps is that getting units from the back to the front gate takes a long time, especially when you are not near the coast and can use coastal movement. But with horses it's less of an issue. You do get the faster reinforcement just from that mounted movement. Uh, then for Carthage, who went forward, they do have riders as their second city, their second family. Even have a builder leader for them. This is actually, yeah, actually a rider's family builder. Not something that, yeah, and intelligent as well. Not something that you see that often. Pretty fortunate for Marauder. Getting those builder governors is very nice when you don't have a builder on your starting leader itself. And also, kind of interestingly, this map actually has a couple of good trader cities, which is pretty uncommon for these coastal rain basin. So if you go for forest city traders, I would be very surprised to see something other than traders here. Lots of marble as well. But let's take a land consolidation check here. We have seen multiple times here in this tournament how powerful land consolidation can be. And we do already have 5 resources here in the first 2 cities. First 3 cities, I guess. This is kind of far from the rider city here. And 2 more down south. Yeah, that's definitely enough to go for land consolidation. Even if these citruses aren't the best of these resources because of the specialist giving them a bit worse bonus than the other ones. But it's still enough more reason to go for them. And then we have a couple more in the middle. But usually these contested science resources are something that we don't see being actually utilized that often. Let's see then. More things for Axum. Moving forwards with the militia and the starting unit here. Is he still missing a general? Yeah, not really. He does have a king consort builder here. Surprised to not see them assigned anywhere. Probably because of the family. Yeah, unfortunately the king consort is of the patron's family, so can't actually go into the champion seat here. I do like seeing this whenever that you go for a military unit first in your expand. It gives you so much more tempo in clearing the map. Even if it makes your resources worse, but it seems like Axum did go for the stone boost here, so the economy is completely fine. For Carthage, going ironworking, did grab administration first, interesting. Maybe it's a kind of a concession to only having one farm resource in the capital, so getting that granary fast, as well as the rhino. No, this is not the growth resource. Carthage does to get the growth resource, I believe. Yeah, the Balhamon is the growth one. But I think going for a granary is a concession in realizing that you don't get enough growth naturally, that getting the granary up fast is actually a lot of it lets you get your settlers out a lot quicker, especially if you manage to get a specialist onto the wheat here, which is completely doable when you have a judge. So it's something that Axum can use as an advantage against Carthage. So Axum's culture income is a bit weaker here. I assume it's just from the specialist here. Cultural agent. Has gotten an event from something. Don't think I've seen this before actually. Now I'm curious and I kinda wanna go and check what that actually does, but I don't wanna launch another instance of the game to run in the background. I wonder if Alcaraz has a tool for that. Maybe I should check at some point. The in-game event viewer is also nice, but it's a bit heavy on the performance side. Not the lightest of programs to run. Nice, continuing to clear here. We'll actually get this camp cleared next turn with the help of this militia. Let's have the literature in the champion city here. I do like this play a lot. Getting that ticking culture in your champion seat does make it so that you actually will reach developing culture pretty fast, and then it makes getting to strong much more reasonable as well. In terms of wonders, we have Ziggurat, the German Aqueduct, Oracle, Ishtargate, Jebel Barkal, even, well, the Necropolis isn't the greatest one, but both of the Ishtar and Jebel Barkal are very powerful. Mausoleum is decent, Acropolis is decent, Colossus is. I, I don't think we've seen Colossus built this tournament yet, or maybe in one of the games where the players built basically every wonder that was available to them. But then we have Heliopolis as the legendary one here. So I would not be surprised if one of the players actually tries to rush for the Heliopolis here. It's just such a game-defining amount of orders that you get from that. Carthage making good use of these tribal mercenaries that they have. Yeah, this is, you can tell it's a Carthage opener when it's you go for a military family city on your second site, and then you build 2 workers out of the military city instead of any military units. It's fun watching Carthage in the early game just for how much they can get away with that other nations can't really do. This would be insanely greedy for any other nation. Actually, how many times has Carthage both orders here? Just once. I'm surprisingly restrained for a schema start here. For scouting, Axum has basically not scouted yet, while Carthage sees most of them up. So he has been very proactive in scouting here, even without buying any schema orders. I am kind of curious here. Could block the city side here, yeah, and does. Nice. Luckily for Rincewind, it's mostly just a minor inconvenience because he will have to walk forwards to the second site here instead of going for this one. But this is also another reason why it's very nice to get that second military unit out quickly, because now he has this slinger here and can actually bully the scout away instead of actually having to deal with it. Settling here would have been nice in that it would have given Rincewind a bit more river movement here. Yeah, settling here would give some river movement, which would make the second settler get pro here probably an order faster, but it likely won't matter. You can get this city up in 2 turns anyways. Actually, no, it's forested hills all the way, so this will take a couple of turns extra to get to. Carthage is in a similar boat though. Already going for acolytes. or one acolyte at least in the capital. So I assume Carthage will be getting Zoroastrianism. I don't think Aksum really has the option of contesting here. Oh, this is interesting. Going for scout moves instead of settler moves here. I think I would have marched this forwards. But, this is also viable, of course, as well. Let's see. For text, we will be finishing rhetoric here. Carthage going for the bottom side of the tech tree. I wonder if this is just super fast for laws or if he's actually planning for something specific here. Because this isn't a great map for either epics or exploration, with the rivers moving in such a way that you don't really get any movement bonus from exploration, and then epics just being generally kind of weak. Weak in that way that it's not really something that you notice or play that much around. Both players having very good tech, I assume. Oh, Carthage is actually really high on tech. I assume it's just from having this this intelligent leader here as well. Yeah, it's a good amount of the bonus. Yeah, just from the archetype and the intelligent governor. For Aksum, it chased the scout away and plopped down a city for clerics. I would be surprised if we see any other cleric cities here. So Aksum excluding traders here. Kind of interesting with this good trader city here, but I understand going for divine rule, especially when you have Heliopolis in the game, so you do get extra benefits from going for shrines anyways. Ah, there's a cat on my keyboard, so I'll have to pop up the menu here real quick. There we go. If you start hearing purring at some point, should not be alarmed, it's just so that she got bored on sitting on top of the computer, it says is now on top of the desk itself. I can have the game on such a screen that I don't actually get blocked by her being here at all, so it's a minor distraction. Going for Statesman here, very powerful with this triple marble site. Not quite the ideal Statesman cap, but kind of close when you have triple marble, but just like some sort of a food source here, so that you actually get the growth to spam out specialists even after getting them for the marble, but otherwise basically ideal. There we go. I'm kind of curious that Rincewind didn't go for a nation with statesmen available for them. But I'm guessing it's just because of the double luxury resource here in Adulis does make it so that this city will get to legendary pretty quickly once he gets any flat sources of cultural production here. With Heliopolis in the game. But still, I think going for Rome here would have been fine as well, with Rome getting both patrons and champions, and then getting fast land consolidation. I do really like Axum as well with the mid warriors and Shotel being so very really powerful with this minus 20% combat strength on the disarm perk, the disarm attack that they do. So what shrines that Axum actually get? I don't remember these out of the top of my head. So it's growth shrine, training shrine, nets shrine, and what's this? This is just it's a lumber mill adjacency shrine. So I assume that these will be lumber mills at some point to maximize this shrine bonus here. It's the one per year again for lumber mills. Now the question is that will Axum actually try to go for fast lumber mills? Getting stone cutting here would kind of indicate so, but you do need stone cutting no matter what. So getting that on the needs isn't really super indicative of your total tech strategy. And we've hit turn 15, so now we are on 5 turns here. Cartridge with centralization and epics as their first two laws. I wonder what they will be going for. Yeah, it's just, I assume this will be slavery. Maybe freedom. It's kind of, Carthage is one of those nations that gets a lot more options here with freedom and slavery. Because the only thing you build in your cities is specialists and workers, and all of your military units are mercenaries in the early game. You can get a really good economy going without getting slavery. So getting that growth early and just building even more settlers and even more workers and then buying all of your military units does give Carthage a kind of a unique position where freedom is really powerful them. Of course, slavery is also a lot of free resources, and it's very difficult to say no to some free resource incomes. Yeah, but it looks like Rincewind on Axum did go for the freedom here and making good use of it already with every single build cubing green. So all of these units will be completing 20% faster because of freedom. Doesn't really have the economy at the moment to support this long term, so the bonuses from slavery would have been really nice for speeding up his resource production once he actually starts building more and more military units. But at the moment, you can clear really far with these two steadfast slingers. You don't really need many more military units. Especially, no, unfortunately no heroes available. Especially if you could have gotten a hero general. This is a really good general for the early game though, just of promotions. I mean, getting steadfast is redundant unfortunately, but still. I don't think it's probably not enough to actually hit any breakpoints, but still, very nice. Court members just have a prince be soon for education for Carthage. A bit younger prince gets one very good hero here though. I assume that we'll be using her to tutor the son instead of doing anything too fancy. Oh, and there's an intelligent judge for Axum as well, so I would be happy to see her assigned somewhere. Oh, that very nice science bonus that you would get from her. You even have enough courtiers from events and from the free one from Patron Seed Founding that you don't really need to spare a courtier for tutoring either. I don't think intelligent is inheritable. That's one of the bonuses that you get from educated is that you can actually inherit educated from your parents in tutoring events. but I don't remember how exactly that that event fires or how likely it is to happen. Getting Carthage is actually kind of slow in expanding. I assume it's just that they don't want to. Yeah. It's because they did go for the double acolytes, already having one in Carthago and now getting a second one in Sabrata. So does mean that they have a couple of unsettled sites here, and here, and only settler in the works with 6 turns on it. Oxum is in a similar spot as well, but their settler is coming out a lot faster, and they don't get the free clearing speed that Carthage gets from because they have to clear everything honestly with these 2 slingers instead of just buying all of their mercenaries and getting super fast camp clears that way. Family opinion is very good for Aksum here. Only one under 100 is the clerics. I was actually, yeah, no pagan family head with, sorry, no head of religion. This is something that is surprisingly meaningful quite often, is that if you roll a religion head that absolutely hates your real ruler, it can be very difficult for your early game. In file for Carthage, it's also fine. Very it's funny seeing these characters that have basically no opinion at all. But of course, getting the pagan family head isn't so the pagan religion leader isn't that big of a thing for Carthage here because they will get Zoroastrianism next turn. It's actually a really fast Zoroastrianism. Of course, Carthage does start with divination, so they are in a position to get these super fast Zoroastrianism timings. Giving that 3+2 civics every turn is quite nice from having a whole city. The whole city will be. Oh, this is a whole city, so it will go to the riders. So not the best. I assume it will go to the riders. It could go to Neapolis as well, but I assume it goes here, which is not the greatest. You would much rather have it in the statesman seat if you can influence it to go there. You again for the +2 civics every turn. Very nice for the statesman cities when they want to be running this project constantly for those extra orders in the late game. This family is considered very powerful nowadays in this tournament for the free orders and the free cities that you get from them, as well as the decree. It's just the most order generating family in the game at the moment. You have some others that can give you orders as well from having just from the family seat giving 2 from riders, and then clerics are kind of one with the free law that they give you. But statesmen are the one that gives you the most across your empire because it's just 1 per city per year. So does mean that you tend up having that 4 or 5 order advantage against your opponent when you have a statesman and they don't. Still steadily clearing the map. Seems like we'll be Carthage is getting to close to the halfway point here though. and it seems like Axum won't really be in time to contest them over any of these sites. With the river here, though, it's also... No, it could be that Carthage actually gets to these city sites as well, or at least this one at the top. But now then it would be questionable if they couldn't actually hold it against these Axumite slingers. We'll have to check what tech Axum is going for here. Carthage is... this is actually an interesting choice. I assume it's just navigation for extra orders. But it's never easy to say. This is actually a pretty good border post here. I probably have to reload the POV here so that we can see the border post. Ah, no, unfortunately. So we'll only see this next turn. Oh no, actually, it's just the capital was got a weird amount of borders in the middle. I was expecting the capital to try to grab this fish here, and that would have given Axum a good amount of sea access here pretty easily. And sea access to the coastline is really valuable when the middle is so hilly. That even with roads, it will take a good amount of time to transport unit from the back to the front. So coastal movement. I can actually show coastal movement somewhere. The ratio for coastal movement is just very efficient. No, it doesn't seem like I can immediately find it. But the default for the infantry units is 2 tiles per order, or 2 tiles per point of fatigue. The mounted units get that doubled or 3 points. And then when you rode, you get that doubled movement, so you go 4, I believe at least. And then but sea movement is something like 6 tiles of movement or 9 tiles of movement per point of fatigue. So using sea is double movement at least compared to walking over land. Does it actually? I'm curious if I can actually find it here. Yeah, it was 2/3, so it's a 1/3 reduction. So it would make the ground units move 3 tiles per turn instead of 2 tiles per turn. So can we see? Maybe it's on embark then. Maybe it's in concepts. One of these things that I know kind of intuitively but I don't know the actual numbers for. Yeah, doesn't seem like it. But anyway, so it's with the roads being a 1/3 discount, moving units by boat is at least doubly efficient, and I believe it's actually triply efficient compared to ground movement. For these nations, it's not the biggest of deals, but for Assyria especially, it's very noticeable when you can actually ship those siege engines around instead of having to move them by road. For a tactics student, that's the second in line, or rather the first in line. But for the second generation, I should say. It's a really common play pattern to see that happen when these starting leaders tend to live up for a decently long time. being 37, so it's pretty likely that she will live to 35, 40 turns, and then usually the players are pretty close to the middle point and they're actually starting to gear up for a fight, so it's pretty common to see your second ruler being a military archetype, or if not your second, then at least your third. On these ultralights, I actually think I prefer your third ruler being the military one instead of your second one. But it seems like he actually swapped, got the event that made the AR swap their tutoring path and did go for a philosophy student. So seems to agree with me in that it's at least the second. It's not bad enough to actually pay the required money or civics or whatever that event costs to stay in your old tutoring, or it's stay in your old school. Oh, nice. Well, one of the best traits for observing in specific is this music lover. Does mean that we get music even without researching drama. And on these users maps, players have been pretty slow to research drama. Especially when you have a free musical tradition and cultural pageant in your capital that gives you +9 culture every year, so you have no reason to really pump up this culture super fast if you don't want to beeline for the Heliopolis. And I believe Carthage does know that they see the capital, so they know that Axum has patrons, and when you are playing against patrons with triple resource, yes, it's gems, gold, silver are all precious resources. So I think you kind of have to give up on contesting legendary. I don't think there's much chance of actually trying to contest a city that gets +75% culture when you don't have the same bonus on for yourself. Let's see. So what was the bonus for steles? That I remember that you get your stele based on your cognomen or your total legitimacy, but I can't remember the exact mechanics for that one. But that's also something that's very nice to get for the capital, for example, when this first ruler dies. And with the brilliant, I assume that she will get enough of a cognomen to get this Grand Stele up. Or at least the... Oh, could be that he doesn't actually hit strong culture quickly enough. But this regular Stele giving you a civics boost in the capital would be pretty nice. Or even the science boost. Nah, it's just 10%, so it's not really huge enough. Steles are really interesting as a building to... When you try to actually min-max it, optimize how much profit benefit you get from that. It's both difficult, but it's also very powerful if you can get those percentage bonuses stacking. No monasticism yet. Going for navigation first. It's the unfortunate reality of playing against Carthage is that you really want navigation so you can actually contest these frontline cities before Carthage can just walk over them and take them. But that means that you can't really go for monasticism because it's too slow. Carthage, they do have 3 laws, we'll get barracks up soon. Now offered monasticism. I'm curious if he will click this. Marauder, I mean. Because with the number of crows available, going for monasticism isn't the most amount of science that you can actually get here, but it's you would get monasticism so much faster than you would get land consolidation. This goes for husbandry instead. I think he only has one horses here. Yeah, no horses here. Pasture resources were down south instead. One thing that makes me nervous for Carthage though is that he's doing the get to the front line fast style of clearing where he takes his army and marches from east to west, so from west to east in this case. And once he hits the halfway point, he will try to fight his opponent as fast as quickly. Basically. But that means that instead of the thing that Rincewind is doing here, which is bouncing from top to bottom and then bottom to top, which means that his units will be consolidated once he stops clearing. So once he clears this core site, and this core site, all of his army will be here. And he will have all the territory control behind that. While Carthage might actually meet Axum on this side, here on this Covec side, but it means that then most of Carthage's army will be stuck guarding this city side, and it will be a lot of effort to actually start clearing these units down south. He will either need to build some military in his backline and then start doing the same, that he just clears them one by one, or then spend a lot of effort moving units from the front back to the back lines, and that's never nice. One of the bonuses for Carthage, of course, is that it's much less expensive for them than other nations, because they can just buy some of these mercenaries and use them to clear their sites. Oh, nice, priest card. Would be able to get the Sword of the Gods, but I don't think you. This is the one of the few times where I think it's not actually good to give the sword to a general when you have a affable, intelligent leader, and that is a governor archetype. Because usually this bonus for the Sword of the Gods, the plus 50% versus infantry, is so powerful that you want to make your governor archetypes into generals. But this is too many bonuses, and you've just hit developing into capital, so you can even use the judge bonus to rush stuff out now. So could be probably this sport cult, or even the selling the sword wouldn't be terrible here when you have judge rushing available for you. Right? Okay, that is because she's a leader here. Ah, yeah, it just doesn't actually show it if you don't build a specialist here. Doesn't really have the greatest specialist to rush, though. I always get baited by this tooltip here, the rushing tooltip, because it actually doesn't specify judges if you don't have a judge rushable thing in the queue. Oh, nice. Nice bonuses for the young one here. All of these are nice traits. Funnily enough, righteous isn't that great of a bonus, even though it might read that way. It does get a bit better when you are a philosophist archetype, and it's likely that you will go to be a governor instead of a general. But this content reduction isn't usually worth the negative events that you can get from righteous, or rather, not the negative events, but righteous blocks off a some amount of underhanded event options in your court. the events that you get from interacting with your courtiers and your families. And I find it is that it being in the, I think it's the honest group. It's honorable, and honorable it tends to have some really annoying requirements for event options sometimes. Well, it's I think it's formatted that requires not honorable, the event tag that you get for those events. Cottage still at 4 cities, or just about to be on 4 cities, but it is now ramping up this settler production. Did go for freedom like I assumed. Going for Apex is pretty unconventional, but this map has such bad river access that exploration doesn't have as much of a benefit as it would on many other maps or river layouts. Axum, freedom, centralization, divine rule. Going navigation for fourth law. Doesn't have the income. Has enough iron for the myths, but doesn't have enough iron income to actually sustain the myths. Interesting though is that Carthage did go for pasture tech, so called husbandry. Yeah. So how could it go for husbandry? So they could go for Judaism as well. I'm not sure how likely that is, but it's the benefit of playing Carthage is that you can do some really greedy stuff if you want to. When none of your build queues are forced to be military first. I'll take a quick drink break here, so I'll mute for just a moment. There we go. Back to Carthage here. Yeah. Almost done with husbandry. I don't know, I never know what to think about this kind of teching where it's kind of... You just get everything in the tech tiers. The first tier or the second tier. Instead of beelining anything. Because I think beelining is usually more powerful instead of doing this kind of even movement through the tech tree. Of course, it's the thing that makes beelining hard in this game is that everything here is good. You want everything that's here. And with Carthage, especially when you start with the bottom area text here, you end up with the missing all the economy text. So Carthage probably has the worst econ text at the start of the game, probably tied with Babylon, could be. So you really want to go for stone cutting and labor force and navigation and all of that, but you need to start from either working, and that slows the timing to navigation, especially by a lot. But I think instead of going for these midline techs here, I think I would have liked to see a monasticism and consolidation here, really quickly from Carthage. Actually, how limited is Carthage by elephants? It's getting to the 4-law timing pretty soon, so elephant will be relevant here. And count is at 0, still at 0. Still 0. I'm sure I saw one elephant. Yeah, here is the only elephant, I think. Yeah, nothing. So Cottage will basically be elephantless for this entire game, because Carthage doesn't have a border boost in the deck anymore. There's no way they will have it because border boost is from Aristocracy, and Carthage starts with this deck. So it's almost impossible for Carthage to delay border boost so for more than 10 turns. More than 15 turns maybe. Even if you started with no science from anything. With your starting leader or even negative science, it's still almost impossible to actually delay Aristocracy in a meaningful by a meaningful amount of turns. So that means that this elephant is almost unreachable for Carthage. You'd need to get it from this city, or maybe this city. They are basically equidistant from the elephant. But it's just so many tiles to that elephant. Well, especially when you don't have landowners and can just buy into it. And I don't think you probably could go for land consolidation. Sorry, not land consolidation, but colonies here and buy your way to this elephant. But even then, it would take so many turns and so many actions, and there's. Well, I guess you could also buy the coastline at the same time, so it wouldn't be wasted, the turns in colonies. But it's still, this is a lot of investment for one elephant. Actually, does Carthage even see this elephant? Yeah, they should. From the other side of the map, if not from their own. Very good scouting for Carthage once again, but kind of comes by default when you are a riders nation and with a schemer leader. Science already at 44 per turn. Aksum is behind by 10, so it's a science lead, and it's a decently sized science lead, but it's hard to convert that into an advantage so quickly in the game. So early in the game. It takes a... Unless you get this super high science and then rush something like land consolidation or monasticism. Or even just specialists from building a million urban improvements and then putting specialists on all of them. Those are ways of where you can actually snowball your science advantage, but the only science tech that Carthage has at the moment is military drill, and aristocracy is kind of a science tech with the centralization science boost. But currently the only permanent source of science income that Carthage has is the barracks, and then put a specialist on those barracks. Well, for Aksum, going for navigation, so they are in the same boat. Even worse actually, because they don't even have barracks, so they don't really have any sources of science here. Though once Aksum gets these mines up and can start affording to actually build those the myth warriors, it won't be the hugest deal that he is slow at teching. He can, well, it will be annoying to just tech slowly, but he will have a 6-strength unit, and then he can go for land consolidation or monasticism and start ramping up that culture while being at basically no risk at dying to Carthage when you... It's almost impossible for Carthage to attack into the myth warriors, especially champions family to myth warriors. Because with steadfast 6-strength units with disarm and steadfast, it's just so... These units are so difficult to fight into. Especially when Carthage won't have a 6-strength unit for a long while. Missing these elephants makes it so that they will have to go for something else. And I think Carthage realizes, or Marauder realizes it here as well. Decides to go for steel instead of navigation. Wants to get those axemen out quickly, so he has something that can contest those two myths. Of course, the myths do come with their downside. The upside of these is that they don't need any specific resource. They just are generic in that way that you can build them with iron and nothing else. Instead of requiring horses or camels or elephants like the Carthaginians do. But they are slow because they are infantry. And marching infantry units from this far away to the front line is very annoying, just especially when you don't have the coastal movement like I was talking about, or even roads. And these rivers are not going in the direction that Aksum wants to go. I know that getting orders is always tough, but I wouldn't actually hate seeing an immediate road going towards this Gallic site or even towards the coast. And I wouldn't hate this navigation being colonies instead of serfdom at the beginning so that you could bite out these coastal ties and use it to move. Actually running mint coin, one of the unique bonuses that Axum has. Yeah, that's show here. So this is gives the city some gold per population and gives a lot of legitimacy. And the legitimacy is nice because it's a half an order every year. The cost of some civics, and you are usually happy to pay that price. Philosophy student did grab righteous. Oh, I don't know. That wasn't a choice. That was a random option from that event. It was one of 4, so 25% chance to get hit righteous. Maybe I'm also undervaluing righteous because we are playing these tournament games on modest prosperity. Yeah. And modest prosperity is -10 unhappiness per year. And when you compare it to playing it on fragile, and fragile is usually what I play on when I play a single player and test stuff out in single player. It's a lot bigger percentage of getting -20, -2 from this 10 instead of getting -2 of 12. You will start reaching that 0 a lot faster. Nothing too meaningful here. Carthage. They have cleared first of their center sites. And this is a very nice site for Carthage with their trader. With the trader family getting 1,000,000 crabs. Even if crabs are not the... no, actually these are pearls and not crabs. I don't know why I keep thinking one is the other. But it's very nice for traders getting the extra bonus from these, but it's also very nice to deny it from Axum, because I know that as Axum I would be very tempted to settle on these pearls because they are a precious resource. So this would be a 125% culture bonus for the city. Though I guess getting it too strong would actually be meaningful for Axum because they would be able to build Shotelai out of it. But getting this culture up for Carthage doesn't actually matter basically at all. So you would get some extra gold here, but the culture would be basically irrelevant for Carthage, but because the only culture they need in this city is enough to rush in it, and that you can get that by Ishtar or just actually by having those pearls. I believe pearls give you +1, yeah, +1 without improvement even. So kind of unfortunate in that way. Axum will be getting the 6th city. Of course, closest Carthage to that. Carthage is at 5 at the moment. Settler in the queue, where's the... But no settlers on the map. So, interestingly enough, Axum is still ahead in expansion by a tiny bit. Carthage will catch up pretty soon, but we are basically even in expansion. Not something that you actually see that usually Carthage tends to be a good bit ahead in expansion, but I assume it's just because of the direction Carthage decided to go in, so that they have settled forwards every time, and then built stuff other than settlers in the back cities, while Axum has been constantly building settlers here. I assume that this city has been rushing stuff out. Only once, actually. Um, yeah, no fourth law for Axum yet. I assume Axum is pretty close to the fourth law as well. This is a really nice event because it gives you this Indiad from the religion head for. I think this this is only a Zoroastrian event. Yeah, it's only a Zoroastrian event. But this gives you, it makes one of your families really dislike you, but it gives you plus 80 opinion with their religion head. So you can, getting that plus 80 on your religion head makes it so that you can start running these convert religion missions. And this mission is very powerful because it means that you can set all of your families to the Zoroastrian religion, but it needs minimum pleased opinion, which is plus 100. And getting plus 100 opinion on a character isn't something that is self-evident that you can get to. Sometimes you won't be able to do that. But here, because even as with the minus 60%, clicking that option will get this matriarch have a personal plus 100 opinion of the queen, and it would let you convert all the families to Zoro. And then when you have this really high opinion of the religion head, you get a really big bonus in this so the religion opinion as well, and that basically counteracts the negative 80 you would get from slighting one of these families. Sorry, it's not slighting, it's the one better than slighting. Yeah, it's just negative opinion. So I think this event is very nice whenever I get it. Because usually the other way you can convert character religions comes from metaphysics. But this way of doing it costs you civics, while this way of doing it costs you... sorry, I need to swap this around. We can see... Yeah, it's the same amount of civics actually, but you do get the bit of a discount here because the matriarch likes you so much. But it does mean that you don't need to go for metaphysics, which is kind of a dead tech otherwise. Which is pretty funny because it's a good tech that it also kind of doesn't progress in your game in a super meaningful way. Archives are decent but kind of low impact. High synods are pretty good but kind of low impact as well, and converting is something that you only need if your family opinion is starting to go really bad. But it's a lot of this kind of niche or kind of low impact bonuses in one tech, but it doesn't give you anything militarily, and it leads you to a kind of a weak tech in cartography. Or I think calling cartography weak is not correct either, because it's not a weak tech necessarily, because it gives you technically the quickest 8-strength unit in the game, but it's just the 8-strength unit is a boat, and a lot of maps these boats don't end up mattering. You either win the sea before you get to these boats, or these won't be enough to actually make a difference. And then of course there's the steel research, but steel research needs portcullis. And that's a lot of tech investment at that point. Oh, Grand Vizier. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Getting a power-hungry religion head, and then you need to even disappoint them even further by not having them as your Grand Vizier. But I think when you are running a Champions family, then you have basically no governor options. Oh, this is actually more than I suspected. But when you are going for a timing with these Demit warriors, oh nice, we actually saw the judge ability here as well, getting this stronghold in a single turn by upgrading it from a garrison. But back to my point, so when you are trying to go for this pretty quick 6 strength unit timing here to actually fight the Carthaginians off early, getting that Grand Vizier deciding what to build in your cities is just so bad for you. It makes it so that the Grand Vizier just doesn't like building units that often. So it's pretty mandatory that you actually have control of your build queue for this. Unfortunately, this limit is just super slow. 16 years. And it's not something that you can rush with the judge either, so... I wonder if he will manage to get some sort of training increases here. Because he has this shrine, but he doesn't have lumber mills and he doesn't have barracks. So he has no ways of getting any extra training in the capital at the moment. Carthage, meanwhile, still working on these settlers. Actually getting 3 settlers at a time, so... Carthage will... Oh, he will try to get both of the middle cities, and will probably succeed as well. Losing both of the central city sites is something that always makes me nervous, at least when it happens. Against Carthage is kind of unavoidable sometimes. On these wide maps, especially when they can just, like, you can see that there are no actual Carthaginian units here, these are all mercenaries instead. So I think Axum wouldn't have had the orders to even march this far forward to actually contest these sites before Carthage got to them. But I don't think Carthage can get this site, because Axum is so close to contesting it already. So I believe the only that Carthage will end up having the 2-city advantage here in the early game. But I don't think they will have any more cities over Axum than that. They might be able to try to go for this one as well, but I'd be nervous. It kind of depends on this Demit timing here. 17 turns for a Demit. The queen has negative courage, so this city is actually the worst city in the entire empire for producing military units. Oh, nice. I love these cult events. Permanent 10 gold per year. Not the biggest bonus, but it's something. Citizens don't tend to be super valuable at this stage of the game. Yeah, this is a minor specialist here, as well as a training shrine, so this city is actually pretty decent at building military units even without any investment into barracks. I'm kind of surprised to see drama instead of monasticism here, but I'm guessing it's just that he really doesn't want to lose the rage to legendary. And getting even one of those theaters in the capital is a lot of sorry, the theater line buildings or audience then theaters. That's a lot of culture in the city because it does get these precious resource bonuses. Interesting to see that Axum's development is also kind of stalling at the moment. Or rather, not development, but military action. Lots of units standing idle at the moment. Surprised not to see them march forwards to this Gallic camp here and trying to clean it. But I guess it's the same thing as always, that you are waiting on this settler anyways. So you can wait until the settler is done or one turn from being done and then move forwards. Clear the site, settle it immediately, and then fight the rest of the units that are still in your own territory and get the bonuses from that. It's something that I tend to. It's not a trap necessarily, but it's something that I tend to be overeager when I'm playing Carthage. Is that I do the same thing where I buy a million of these mercenaries and just start clearing camps, but then I need to sit a mercenary unit in one of these camps for forever basically before I can actually get a settler to it and start healing it up again to be useful in another fight, instead of waiting a couple of turns before I actually start clearing the camp. For example, this here is that Carthage will clear this camp on the next turn, I think. Either next turn or the turn following that. But it will take this settler basically start walking towards this camp. City side, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 turns, 8 turns even to get to this camp. So you could have waited for 8 turns before clearing this camp if you could clear it in one turn, and the end result would have been the same. We'll actually see Carthage's heir next turn. So when it flips over to Axum, I'll check what the next in line is actually called. What the next in line is archetype is. Actually, does Carthage have... Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've gone for the Elder Shopkeeper yet. Understandable. This is one of the most interesting parts about the trader family scene, is this Elder Shopkeeper that you can get immediately. Because it's a lot of growth for the city. It's 16 at the moment, so if you can get this Elder Shopkeeper here, it's a quarter extra growth in the city. Or basically a third extra growth in the city even. But it's very expensive to get this out. So if you can get this out before actually committing to building a lot of settlers, it's very powerful. Interesting. There's actually a second cleric city for Axum as well. Not something that you'd see super often. But here is the thing is that the champion cities are powerful with extra training, but you don't want a million champion cities because that starts to really eat up into the family opinion with the discontent from having a million cities. So you are kind of forced to get a couple of cleric cities or a couple of patron cities, just so that your champions aren't constantly very unhappy. Nice. Finally, Axum has scouted past the midway point of the map. Oh, he did go down there at one point. I still actually has a scout here. So he doesn't know what family's Carthage has, or doesn't know what Carthage is doing back here, or how much he has cleared, but he doesn't see the Carthaginian units on the front line. So it's pretty difficult to justify moving this backwards immediately, because losing sight of these units is something that you don't want to necessarily do. Tactician or Zealot? This is actually a pretty interesting choice for the air. Righteous and Delver. Usually the players tend to go for Zealots because rushing is so powerful, and Zealots are the fastest way to rush out units or anything with training. And I assume that's what he will go as what Marauder will go here as well. But tacticians are nice as well. Very annoying for Carthage with these tribal skirmishes being unspottable in the woods. Oh, there's a chariot. This did they go? No, not from a spoke, so I assume this is some mercenary chariot or something. Coming from the Didonian city. This is actually a very strong unit at this point in the game. Coming from a friendly family and then being a 5-strength unit against these ranged units, and Axum doesn't have a spearman even close. Well, they kind of are close with having labor force, but I assume that when Axum sees the map layout here and sees how few elephants there are, I think I wouldn't want to go for spearmen as Axum if I could avoid it. Yeah, I think so. To save a general for this. A commander, but nothing else. Not the... or the weakest archetype. Oh, nice. We get a growl. Means that farmers, pastures, camps and groves give 100% output. Negative 100% output. So it means that the players will not get any sources of food from anything other than the sea. Luckily for Carthage, they do have a couple of improvements in the sea already. Axum hasn't been. Seems like yeah, of course, yeah. Carthage did go for the coastal expansion route, so Carthage has a couple of extra turns on the worker before Axum does, so Axum will actually be missing out on the food from these fishing ships here that Carthage already has. Oh, that looks like a couple of these Gallic units here went on a raid, which is both good and bad for Axum. Good because they are not defending the camp now, but bad because this timer starts ticking down faster. And Carthage is buying the mercenaries here. Now the thing for Carthage here, this might be over eager, because even with these mercenaries, I don't think it's enough to fight these units. Maybe with the chariot. Chariot is probably enough to turn the tide. Hmm. Getting a militia and a tribal distant tribal raid. I don't actually know whether. I assume that they come from either here or then just from the fog of war up top. These super wide coastal rain basins are sometimes a bit weird, but the tribal raids, the distant lands tribal raids, those are even disabled for the competitive mode, aside from a certain set of events. But you don't get the ones that you get in single player, for example, where you just get a random tribal raid coming from these holes in the mountains here. Funny enough, I think that's the only mountain pass on the whole map. No, this is a hill and not a mountain, so there are a couple of passages. Second one, so let's quickly check the succession for Aksum here. So it's a judge followed by a judge, but the first queen is currently severely ill and actually doomed as well. So we'll have the heir step in. It's a big science loss for Aksum. It is intelligence going away, but luckily the heir is also pretty nice in terms of stats. Not great, not terrible, but it's not something you don't tend to get super high stats on your very first kid in this game. Usually you don't really have the resources to, you don't have the courtiers, or you don't have the money, or you don't have something else that you are missing for the best options for all of the education events. Yep. But now Axum sees the chariot here. And that's a scary unit to fight against. Luckily though for Axum, he will get this city up basically immediately. So that Axum will clear this camp and then they could even force march the settler all the way, I assume. Yeah, I don't think one force march is quite enough without roads. But you can settle this city side in 2 turns here. And that is probably fast enough. Oh, there's also an elephant here. Interesting. Where is he getting these from? Does he have the elephant project here and there, I see? No. So this must be from an event as well then. I don't know how else he would have gotten it from. Because there are no elephants here. I'm actually really curious. Maybe it was a harvest event. I thought you couldn't get these 6 units from events, though. You know that basically all of them have been disabled for multiplayer. Curious. Aksum does have garrison going up in the city of Havulti here, so he will get the mid-south from the city as well. If we rushed one here, did it just complete it naturally? This unit had 15 turns on the timer, so might have been civics rushed actually. Unfortunately, we can't see here immediately. Need something in the build queue so before it actually shows if the city has civic rushed anything. And because it's from the patron city, it doesn't have steadfast, so it's noticeably worse against these Carthaginian units. But Carthage might be able to actually kill both of these slingers if they don't fall back here. With force marching and then routing through here. Well, luckily for Aksum, he sees this chariot, so he won't get caught up by that. Sorry, caught out by that. And Carthage isn't actually at war with the Gauls at the moment, so he might not want to go for the camp immediately. Yeah. Retreating here is the by far the more reasonable option than they're trying to clear the campsite first. Just a level 1 stele. Or steel. I have no idea how this point is supposed to be pronounced. So next road should be nice. Oh, a Thracian tribal marriage. What's the Thracian site? The only ones are away from him, so I think you might actually take the Thracian side here. I think I'm always tempted to take this first stele in the champions seat for the extra training. So I guess stacking percentage modifiers in the champion seat isn't quite as good as stacking them elsewhere because you already get such a large bonus. You start approaching the point where you 1 turn or 2 turn everything anyways, even without any percentage bonuses. I'm surprised that this unit hasn't moved out already. The time bank being so long. Ah, there we go. Not the greatest promotions here. Strike Guard Warden. This unit does get the general here, so it's actually a really powerful unit. There we go. See, you get any... He gets 1 turn of coastal movement here, I think. Moving here and then, yeah, 1 order worth of coastal movement. Settler also moves forward. So this looks scary for Axum here, but with the settler already being in position and the units holding on these hills and the Demit on the way, I don't think Carthage can actually take and hold the city site. Not against this many champions units. Maybe if these were something better than 4 strength units, if one of these were like one of these where are they? Are there any on the map? No, we don't actually get any of the operation skirmishes on the map yet. Can we see them? These Thracian peltast. If they were 5 strength peltast instead of 4 strength skirmishes, maybe there was something here, but I don't see this ending up well for Marauder if he actually goes in. Let's take a quick look at stats at the moment while we have some time. Population. Oxum is actually leading a population. Interesting. I assume it's just Carthage spend some time building more workers and stuff like that. Specialist even workers. Oxum is actually leading. Military Oxum is leading. Mercs. Carthage has 1,000,000 mercs. Oxum has cleared more, but it's because Carthage has bought more units. For sport 3, techs 11 to 6, so a big tech lead for Carthage here. Improvements, Carthage also leads by a lot. Kind of interesting to see such a large lead in improvements when with the number of workers being relatively even. Maybe that's just doesn't show it correctly for some reason. Should be... No, yeah, Carthage doesn't really have that many workers. I think it's actually just 1, 2, 3. They should have one more riders worker somewhere. Because I remember this city building 2 workers immediately. Oh well. Yeah, it's just the number of tribal units on Carthage is kind of ridiculous for such an early point in the game. Now, you might think as the Carthage that holding this situation like it is a win for you, but actually it's better for Axum if they can wait for one more turn here before declaring the camp, because it means that this settler can actually get into the city site on the next turn already. Hero. Interesting. This new radar AI is really weird. I know what it does sometimes, because the goals aren't even unhappy with the oh, are they actually? No, they are trues. So while these goals are trues, the raiders that spawn from them just went for the Carthaginian units instead of the Axumite units. Does Carthage see this? Does see. So he knows that there's a Dimit on the field. Killing 5 goals isn't actually an obvious ambition here. I think he knows that there's this goal excite here. But there's only 2 in this camp, and there's a chance that he will clear the camp before it actually spawns an extra one. Because I think you want to force march this settler in next turn. Reading even further backwards. These hills are very annoying for movement, without any roads on them. Now that he's actually fallen back to his own borders to heal, it will take 2 turns to actually go fight over this site again. Or it will take a lot of orders, because this unit can still hit this. But for example, this militia isn't in range anymore with 3 fatigues, 1, 2, 3 to here. So I think every unit aside from these 2 slingers already has to force march to hit this camp. And the thing is that if you plop that champion city down here, there's no way that Carthage can actually contest it. There's no way that these units are enough to break through a champion city. Yeah, even this chariot, that's the strongest unit in this army, does only 1 damage to the city. So any unit in the city would be enough to drive away these Carthaginians. And this is a pretty big investment for Carthage as well. They're sending all these units here. Even if these are kind of fake in the way that they were just bought from this Golek site here, instead of actually being real fighting units. But this slinger has been standing here for a long while, instead of being out here clearing some camps in the back, for example. So it's not completely free for Carthage either. It's just the gold income is so disgusting that Carthage can hire these tribals for basically indefinitely. Can hire one of these every turn. There we go, that's 6th city for Carthage. Yep, 6 cities. Very good statesman city here as well with double marble. Of course, it's not quite as meaningful for the 2nd city than as it is for the 1st city, because you only get the decree in the capital, but those negative, this minus 25% specialty good cost is something that makes it so that getting you get 25% more from these civics when you build specialists with them. Or you pay less for the specialists that you build using these civics from these quarries. There's a question for Carthage here as well, that if they want to try and clear this camp and then settle it immediately. Or if they will send these two settlers to these two sites. Ah, there we go, there's the nomad warlord. Will be clearing these back camp pretty fast. But again, this camp is still here and alive and kicking. And I don't think Carthage really wants to send any of his units back here to clear it. Luckily it's just a regular barbarian site instead of a tribal site, so it won't be raiding him. But it's also close enough that these will be these skirmishers will start hitting this worker here, yeah. And even getting that 1 point of poke damage is enough to slow all of your construction by a turn. Now there's a decision here for Axum, which is that does he want to move this to mid forwards and actually threaten to take this site next turn, or if he will stay back and just play defensive. And I think you kind of have to go for to take that site as quickly as possible here, just so that you don't fall so far back behind in map control. Because losing these two middle sites is something that just kind of happens. It could be that you fight over them and you lose, or you play against Carthage, they get to them faster than you could do, and then you play 2 cities down. But you would still get your 9 city sites on your own side, so playing 9 to 11 isn't that terrible. But when you are trying to play, if you lose these 2 sites as well, if you don't take this quickly, then you are starting to play not just 11 to 9, but you are playing 13 to 7, and then it's getting double, close to Carthage having double the build queues, and I don't think that's sustainable in any long-term way. Did he get the worker here? If you really want to be cautious with this too much, you could even give it guard before moving forwards. I wonder about the combat previews. Yeah, just look at this. It isn't even a champions to it. This is just a regular to it, and it still would just 1-2 tap all of these units with no problem. And I assume they would do basically no damage in counterattack. With this disarm bonus is just so disgustingly powerful. Let me show it up again. So disarm is the special bonus of these Axumite units, and it's when you attack an enemy, it doesn't apply on counter-attack, it's just on your turn. You give the attack unit minus 20% attack and defense strength, and that lasts for 2 turns. So it's every attack on your turn after the mid attack, and then every attack on the opponent's turn as well. It gets that bonus. Bonus damage on your turn, and then negative damage on the opponent's turn. It's disgusting. Not quite the. It's still not the strongest unit in the game though, because it's an infantry unit. So it's not something like. Not quite as. How would I say it? It's just kind of a truck, that it moves slow but it hits really hard. But it's not like the Egyptian light lancer, for example, that can just go anywhere and hit anything. I consider that to be probably the strongest UU. Just because of having a unit with 4 movement is kind of absurd. It's like Axum has been taking this navigation forever. Ah, sorry, we spot POVs, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it's military here. I'd like to see... well, again, I think you kind of have to go for Mildrill now, but you are so close to fighting already. But I wouldn't have minded seeing Police and then Forestry and then Land Consolidation either. Because there's so much science in Land Consolidation on this map. With the triple lavender, double citrus. I think the unfortunate part about Land Consolidation though is that you don't have the camels or the elephants to actually use the unit from Land Consolidation. So it's understandable why the players aren't going for it super aggressively here. Even though it's just a huge amount of science. Rugal is very nice though. And a 50% improvement costs in the city where he is. And then minus 20% empire-wide for everything. And that minus 20% wide empire-wide tends to be a lot. I assume it also counts for judge upgrading, but I am not 100% sure on that. Some roading from Axum here. Not roading on Carthage's side. Non-existent. He does have labor force as well, so it's not like he couldn't have roaded it, so he just has decided not to. I have a sneaking suspicion that this worker will be on road duty for at least a bit, starting from Carthago. Yeah, Carthage can't really contest this city side. Even if Axum goes in, clears it, the Carthage can kill 1 unit maximum from Axum. This isn't still enough to take a champion city, no way. No way this is enough to take a champion city. Maybe if you also buy this mercenary here. Yeah, these have been barely enough to kill a Demit warrior, so there's no way they would kill a champion city. And when you put this Demit then in the champion city, then it just can start killing out on a unit per turn pretty quickly. And then this is actually pretty close for the champion city here before it's hitting. Well, it did hit developing now, so could get the next level of garrison here and start building these Demits. But it looks like they are taking a 10-minute break here, so I think I'll do the same as well. It's nice to go grab something to eat while... Well, probably not something to eat, but something to drink while the players are on the break as well. So. So I'm dropping a message here in the chat and then I'll take a quick break myself as well. And we're back. Will probably be a while before the players are as well. So we can probably spend this time to look at some of the graphs here. Just to, yep, looks like everything's fine here. So Civics, Axel has actually been leading this entire game. This is an interesting statistics whenever Carthage is in the game, because on one hand it's completely false, because this doesn't include the civics that Carthage gets from founding cities. So with Carthage having 6 or 7 cities here, Carthage actually has double the amount of civics that it shows here, so Carthage is basically even with Rincewind or Axum, probably even leading a bit. But these are also these are the total amount of local civics that the players have had during the game. So Axum is actually in a decent lead in the amount of civics they've had in their cities themselves. And if they have spent them on specialists and stuff like that, then they would be actually ahead of Carthage in that. But then there are much fewer civics in laws and other things that can be done from the global pool, like assigning governors and stuff like that. And training, Carthage is actually ahead, but I just assume that that comes from characters rather than actual income. Oh, there's actually a double barracks here. But I remember saying, yeah, it's this 7 strength. So it's 7 courage character is a lot of it. 5 courage on the prince, and then 7 on the court here, so that's most of the training that Carthage has. And science, Carthage is ahead and has been ahead for the entire game. Will be even more so now that the Queen of Axum died, while the intelligent leader is still alive on Carthage. And it's a pretty big lead as well. I assume it shows, yeah, it shows primitive even. Getting that 500 lead already. Carthage did get pretty fortunate with this, having the intelligent to the queen and then immediately getting an intelligent builder on the Riders family. For orders has been even. Carthage is a bit ahead, this is actually more orders for Axum than I suspected, just because Carthage has both Riders, which gives you that +2 a year, and then Statesmen that give you +1 per family per year. Sorry, +1 per city. But I assume it's just from the... Yeah, it's just from Divine Rule, having a couple of cities with paganism. Ends up actually matching the orders that you get from Statesmen. Seems like Axum actually doesn't have all the shrines. There's 1 shrine, 2 shrine, 3. Yeah, it has 3 cities with a shrine. I'd like that 4th one drop down as soon as possible so that you get the 1 extra order from that as well. But I'm guessing that he wants to put it here for the net's adjacency. Which is not nothing, but it's not usually the most impactful thing either, because the bonuses that you get from these fish isn't that great. Or even crabs, just some growth and some food. Which is, well, it's obviously decently good, but it's not something like getting it on iron or something that you get from one of these shrines. I think it's this one actually, the Lumberman shrine also gives you 20% adjacent for mines. Especially if you don't want to go for a religion. When you get a religion, then getting one city with a lot of growth is very nice, even in the mid to late game, so that you can spam off all out of your disciples from that city. But if you are just going for the paganism as your state religion, and then go trying to get the Heliopolis, it's not the it's not as big of a deal as the having a huge growth city in the late game. Growth tends to be pretty commonly the most difficult resource to turn into power, into military power or economical power. Still missing one pressure resource. Pretty late for this event. This is the patron's family seat. And it's getting the last precious resource on line 36. So that's a lot of time that you've been missing this extra extra percentage multiplier from having this precious resource. I think it's still not enough for Carthage to get to legendary fast, even with the projects here that give it a lot of culture. Because this city will catch up real fast once it gets its culture improvements online. Because this already is that this 21 from just 14 from some really minor bonuses. And it seems like the players are back as well. And we even get music lover on one side and the Axum has research audience, so we even get music on both sides. Interesting to go for monasticism. I guess he wants to go for police. And getting compo before you get forestry is kind of questionable quite often. Doesn't really advance you economically anywhere, aside from these ranges, and then getting the... You can, if you get compo before forestry, you can usually afford to get a couple of archers, but you don't usually get... You usually can't afford to get ranges up. And ranges are the economical side of that tech. Now the question is how greedy does Axum want to be here? He could even move with his 110 forwards before trying to settle. The research stockpile is looking kind of scary though. Especially the stone income is not great. Hasn't upgraded this either. I assume that he actually will finish the slinger before upgrading this. Or could be that he doesn't even have the resources to upgrade this immediately. It's just the stone income and then 200 gold might not be enough to get the difference here. What's the cost on a stronghold? Can I see it here? Garrison be 146, but that's... Oh yeah, Frugal will help here by quite a lot when you have such a restricted economy. I don't like this running away with the... This must have been a missed click, right? There's no way this was intended. This is looking pretty tense though. Oh, this is insane. Developing culture event for 220 research or a courtier. It is a robust diplomat. I think you still take the 220 research, that's so much. For almost 5 turns of research when you are already ahead in research. Iranian constitution here. With Carthage you will always have enough civics to enact your laws as well, so it's not really you don't get pinched by the amount of civics you have when you try to figure out your law times. You can just always click those law texts if you want them. And I think this is a good law pair to go for. Irani especially is very powerful. Constitution is as well, but it's much more difficult to justify when you are playing one of these dual maps. You tend not to have enough urban specialists to actually get enough science out of it to justify going for it. There was one match where a player got this tyranny versus constitutional law choice at turn 80 something, or somewhere close to that turn number, and then this was an actually really close choice when you could get 8 or 10 or 11 science from this one law. At this point, when you need to, when you're thinking that do I want 2 science or do I want this plus 10 per year per military unit in territory, as well as the training, it's pretty easy to get. Just when you clear this goal site, settle it, and then put your army there, you'll be getting 70 or 80 gold per turn. So you are all of these mercenaries, instead of you paying upkeep for them. Well, it's not a lot of upkeep. Even the 6 strength mercenary is just 6 gold per turn at the moment, but you put it inside your own borders, and the unit is actually paying you more than it costs in upkeep. It's kind of crazy for Carthage, especially. Though Carthage then, on the other hand, is... Well, the percentage training bonus is also nice when you have a million radius cities, which Carthage doesn't actually have. Only 2 at the moment. This will likely be a 3rd one. 4th one here. Yeah, yeah, Axums is the center here, so he knows that he kind of has to go in here. I kind of hate this though. This is so scary when you are seeing that chariot. I guess if you can kill the unit and then hit the chariot, it's not quite as scary anymore. But here, this could be just a route chain through this entire force. Yeah. Now this is not scary at all anymore. When you look at this combat previous. Even this chariot isn't... Well, it's enough still to run through some of these units, but it's much less scary than it was before it got disarmed. And we're in this funny position where neither player is at war with the Gauls anymore. Yeah, there's a truce for the Carthaginians and there's a truce for the Axumite. So this is these tribals. Well, the only way they will contribute to this fight is if Carthage decides to buy them. The only scary part about this is that I don't see this is all of Axum's units. Aside from this one slinger. And the Demits are not coming quickly. Yep, got their stronghold here. Doesn't seem like it cost him anything. Can I see it? I need to probably do it here. I want to... Yeah, it is 80, but I think you get a... Does it join on Judge? Judge gives you upgrade improvements. Nope. Doesn't doesn't say if it gives you a discount, but I think it does. I think it discounts the new building by the amount of resources you spent on the old building or a percentage of them. And then you probably get even better rate because you are frugal. Let's see what Carthage decides to respond with. I think you could kill 2 or 3 of these slingers, but there's no way you kill this Timid. All of these slingers are steadfast as well. Steadfast and tough, so the combat math is actually way worse. Well, not way worse, but a decent bit worse than it looks like. Because this preview doesn't take tough into account. So does he actually want to go and clear this backside instead? I think this is not enough to break through to the backside from Axum. If Carthage settles here, I don't think Axum has quite enough to kill the city, I mean. He'd actually at least need to spend a couple of turns to clear these units out and then lay siege to the city. But I think if you if Axum gets a second or a third to mid from somewhere, I think then this city is under danger as well. I think you are very happy when you're Axum and you see your opponent spend their entire turn just clearing this camp. Let's see, nothing really here. Rising Star. Severely ill Rising Star. I never know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess you get the protection edicts and then you are it's pretty likely that the Rising Star will die before they actually become a problem. They are severely ill, so there's not really any downside in. No, hopefully there will be no downside in giving them some extra power. Oh, this is actually not enough to kill. Still, now it's enough to kill. But this will be so expensive and this will be 400 training. No, actually just that you only need to audit, you don't actually need to force much here. 200 training. And you kind of have to, no, it's schemer, so you can just kind of ignore the order limitations. Does get the rider city down here and has the chariot in the city center, so it won't die. But these tribals will. I think this would be 3 dead tribal units probably. And again, I don't really see Carthage being able to respond when these slingers get into the woods. I think you can clear all of these this turn. Or maybe you need to leave one of them alive. Yeah. Just see how powerful Steadfast is against these tribals. Especially these 3-strong tribals just melt. Even while they are in woods against ranged units, it's just the bonuses are so powerful on these. Friendly family, Steadfast. These guys have tough and it's not even active. But this guy has Highlander. Yeah, there's one. I think you can kill all of these. Maybe. Still not 100%. Yeah, with the disarm, this unit loses so much of its strength that it will die in here if Axum decides to try and kill it. There we go. So this last one then survives with the positioning being like this. Now the question is that What do you want to do with these? Do you just stand back? Could assign generals to them. One of them. I think I like doing that, or even moving this slinger up, though because you don't have roads, it's very slow to move it. Yep, yeah, I do have barracks now, so I'd also like to see a barracks in the capital. Just so that even with all of your build queues being red at the moment and you're building units in everywhere, getting those barracks ups means so that you could get some extra training for either your units or then for the global training pool, so you have some more to play around with for extra orders or unit upgrades. This is pretty scary for Carthage still. Carthage has some real power here, so we can probably see that from the military graph. That Carthage has a huge amount of power on the field, but it's a lot of the power is concentrated here in these two 6-unit units, in this elephant and this horseman, while basically all of Axum's military power is here. It's in this Dumit especially. And it's kind of scary that if Carthage is careful there and if Axum doesn't let himself be route chained, there's not really much that can actually stop these units, especially once a lot more of these Dumit start coming in. It's just the unfortunate part for Axum here is that his reinforcement route is so bad with no roads that there are some units that he will be building here in the Champions seed, but it will take forever for them to get to the fighting. The same is of course true for Carthage as well, but Carthage has the sea access here and is here as well, so he will be able to sail through this area. Does have colonies as well, so he can even just use these units to buy tiles and then getting reinforcements from anywhere from the backline is pretty fast at that point. Yeah, these combat previews just don't look good for Carthage. These 3 strength skirmishers aren't really units at this point. Not that they won't really do anything. And the question is that will he let the city fall here or will he actually try to defend it? And will Axum try to take it or will he try to fall back and try to take the Gallic side? The nice part for both players though is that the family opinions seem to be pretty high. Yeah, just 1 point short of being friendly for both of these families, so it did lose the 10% combat bonus. Still surprised to see the queen kicking. I guess turns 36 isn't super long. No, I just realized that the queen, or remember that the queen has a vigilant, so I don't think you can really try to break to the city here. I don't think it's reasonable to try, so I think Axum will back around and take the Gallic city and then try to move forwards again after taking it. The unfortunate thing is that with this sea route here, this elephant will be in the fight in a couple of turns. Actually, next turn maybe. Yeah, should be next turn. He can get to the sea next, and then he will be able to sail all the way to somewhere near the chariot. I'm not sure on the exact amount of tiles it lets you move that way. Does Carthage have the Zoroastrian world religion wonder? This is the Zoro Holy City, yeah. Oh no. Might have been actually low on civics for that. Usually, I think the religion world wonders are so cheap to build that you don't really have much reason not to go for them. If you just can. If you're not doing something timing-wise with Jebel Barkal, that's usually the reason why you wouldn't go for the world religion, or if you are really squeezed on civics, would be the other one. Yep, there we go. This is, even with a lot of the Carthaginian units killed, this tyranny is still plus 70 gold per turn. Hard to say no to that. Now we do know that Rincewind is a very determined attacking player when he wants to be. So I would not be surprised at all if he actually pushes forwards here. But with this, I don't think he can know about this elephant because I have no idea where this elephant came from. Because neither of these rider cities have elephant access. This has horses and the other one has horses as well. So it came from the capital, but I have no idea how you get an event elephant from the capital. Maybe it was the spoked wheel? No. Oh yeah, it's the steel elephant. There we go. Mystery solved. I remember most of these riders nation have their unique elephant here in spoked wheel, but maybe it could change around. I don't know if it was changed around in some of the patches, or maybe Carthage has always had it there and I'm just misremembering things. Unfortunately, this chariot is too far away to actually attack into. But these guys aren't. Okay, Sate. Okay, Sata. One more down, two more down. This is... On one hand, these are kind of meaningless units for Carthage because they are just very weak tribals. But on the other hand, they are real kills, and if you look at the units lost here for Carthage, I think Carthage has lost 6 or 7 units here. So units lost for Carthage, 5 units. He has lost 5 units here in 3 turns, I think. And now even the city of Karalis is even getting hit. And even next turn there's not enough damage with the chariot to start trying to route chain through this. You still need some extra source of damage for this to work. And I don't think this elephant is quite close enough. We'll see next turn. I think if you do a full force march, I think you could get to these units. But I don't think you would be able to actually do the route chain here with with the damage numbers looking like this. Because this is still a 5.6 strength unit, so it's not that much weaker than the elephant. So if this hits for 7, the elephant could hit at 13 most, I think. Hard to say without looking at the unit itself, which we can do next turn. The nice part about just pushing your advantage here and trying to continue the attack is that it's pretty order efficient, that you don't need to double backwards from there, so even with just this 20 order income you could get all of these military moves done pretty easily, even has some extra orders to spend on moving workers around here. I assume this will be just for extra roading. It'll be interesting to see what Carthage decides to do next. One hurry. Yeah, so this first did get hurried by orders. Yeah, and this got, sorry, not orders, but civics, and this one got hurried for civics as well. Just can't. Yeah, it's just judges just projects and specialists, like I remembered. So this one got hurried with civics as well. Now the unfortunate thing for this to meet that it will take forever for it to get fighting. Meanwhile, this elephant can. Don't really see the force much here. Remember that this force much. Yeah, maybe. Probably can't force much here yet because the you need to end your second action on one of these tiles here, so you get the full force much. But we can see here that if you decide to force march, you can get all the way to this chariot style in one turn with this warrior. So you could force march here behind the city in one turn. The elephant is a bit too far away, so it can't quite get there. Yeah, it only gets to the city here and not further than that. But it's still so naval movement is just so efficient nonetheless. Yeah, it looks like it's this elephant has two move. Sorry, I had something caught in my throat there. But this elephant has two move, so it looks like it can move 4 water tiles with that. Pretty far moving elephants. Ah, morning for the Carthaginian leader, so post morning. It's kind of a scary status to get morning because this one gives you the chance of becoming ill. So sometimes you might just get ill and then die from being mourning. I don't think mourning itself has a chance of death. That's something that we tend to go over every time that mourning shows up in a game. But it can lead to death indirectly. Now this elephant is now can actually get to the fighting next turn if it force marches. So, and there's no way Axum can have eyes on it, I don't think. No, this goat is too far away. So if Axum goes to if Axum goes into eagerly, they could get crushed here with these two route units. Because this Dumit is still just a 6 strength unit on defense. Needs to attack for the disarm to do anything, so doesn't really. It can kind of melt to these 6 strength elephants. Surprised not to see a general on this elephant. I guess. Well, this the prince would be pretty nice with the plus 21 combat strength. As well as the one-time death prevention. Making good use of colonies. Doesn't even need to road much further than this. Or any further than this, because it's much faster to move by sea than by road here. Oh, actually, I didn't realize how annoying the terrain here is. This double sand tile here blocks, triple sand tile here blocks a lot of movement. It's a bit less awkward for Axo maybe when the champion city is here and they can also go around or then move through this way so that they don't actually need to the reinforcement route from coast to inland. I like this retreat here. I think pushing further forwards is unnecessarily risky. Even leaving these units here is a pretty bit risky in my opinion. Though I guess it's not the hugest of risks. I am almost certain that Rincewind did do the math and saw that this chariot would do 7 damage. And if you play around the fact that it can get a promotion, it could do 8 damage. So I think Rincewind is aware here that he might lose 1 unit, but he won't be losing more than 1 unit. Even if he gets attacked. And now he's bringing the settler forward as well. So he definitely will clear this goal site on the next turn. I'm not sure about the combat math here, but this is just a elite skirmisher and this is just a outpost and not the higher level. So you can probably kill this in just a couple of hits with these steadfast units. More stronghold is interesting. How close is he to that? Not close. Unfortunately. No, but he does have Odeons available, but probably isn't going for them at the moment. I remember that Axum did grab Drama on the way. I think I would have preferred it was between Drama and Polis. And Drama does mean that you get to Legendary before Carthage almost certainly, because you don't need... Carthage would need an insane amount of investment into culture for it to have any chance of beating the Patrons percentage bonus from having this triple resource, but... So I think going for Drama is very reasonable in that it probably will secure you Heliopolis. But there's just so many grove resources here that neither player is even close to land consolidation, and it's turn 38. I think this would be so much science from these. 10 science already from those, and 12 science, 14 science. And that's even before specialists, and I don't think either player would be super interested in putting specialists on them. Of course, the only thing for Axum here is that they got a pretty unfortunate draw from their tech pile with monasticism. So it was monasticism combo architecture coinage. So I think going for monasticism is completely justified here when you have your 6 strength unit anyways, and it's not a limited 6 strength unit. So you don't necessarily need to go for the military options here, and this will let you catch up in science slowly. But it's just unfortunate not to see any of the decks that lead towards land consolidation. Same here, that Carthage is very far from land consolidation as well. Getting machinery already, but I don't think maybe he will try to get the war elephant from here as well. I don't think that's... Well, the goods boost will be good for him as well. Just for the extra wood alone. But I don't think he could afford these siege engines if he actually wants to fight. And nice, one more intelligent. It's pretty impressive how Carthage has the intelligent queen, and then they have an intelligent builder here, and now they have an intelligent leader over here as well. That's a lot of science from the leaders. Yeah, like you can see from here that the Carthage is making 20 science per turn, but it's 4 from the Queen and then another 50% from the Queen. So the Queen is just giving this city extra 12 science, something like that. Yeah, this is already 7 from the percentage, and 4 from that would be 11, and no 11. That's 13, and then 13 science from the Queen alone from in the city of Carthage, Carthago. I'm surprised by how slowly these elephants have been moving. Seems like Marauder hasn't been utilizing the entire of the sea naval movement. Because I think this elephant was here. Guess if it could have moved a lot more closer if it wanted to. And here you run into the problem that these tiles aren't inside Carthage's borders, so you actually lose your fast movement once you get to this tile. I guess this tile, you know, this tile, yeah, this tile. I don't believe Axum has still lost any units. Nope. But this is just harassment damage on Karalis instead of actual damage. This rebel is promoting here, and there's the elephant is coming, and the 6-string nomad war. Sorry, this is just a 5-string one. I will probably be promoted to a 6-string next turn. So I don't think Axum really has the ability to push past this point anymore. And that will make this game pretty scary for them. Even getting a boat here. I guess boat isn't terrible when it lets you get this coastal movement. Yeah, just one boat is enough here. And when you are order restrained anyway, order restricted here anyway, that you can't move units from this city towards this side anyways over these hills without it costing you an arm and a leg. I think getting a Byrim so that you start saving orders in the long term is reasonable. Especially because I don't think there's any chance that Karalis will be building a boat to contest against this one. There goes the city. Each one will poke from something. But this is getting scary again. That if the Slinger moves down here, this could be a route chain here. But that's what I'm thinking, because this Slinger is already wounded, and all of these units are wounded. That if this route chain doesn't work, because this chariot does 8 damage, and the numbers get weird with the like 4 doing 7 and 4 damage. But now that these units are getting wounded, there's a chance that the route chain numbers start working in Carthage's favor. Oh, clerics instead of champions. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I'm not curious why. I don't really see anything here that would make me want to take clerics. Compared to champions. Maybe the idea is that you settle clerics here and then you put champions in the next one. Because it's the it's a better choke point city in a way. No, but that's not even true because this is the best choke point city because of these mountains here. Curious. I don't think the family opinion is even that bad for Axum to. No, it's getting kind of bad, but not terrible. So I guess it's the for just having such a high family opinion here. But I don't think Carthage is in the position to really push here either. I don't like that he stopped buying this house midway through. Maybe he ran out of money. I think buying these tiles is just so good for your movement. Yeah, there we go. We can see here, for example, that this axeman was here, and it could move all the way to here, even with when there was this volcano in the way. It's just walking would take 3 turns or something close to 3 turns without roads. So that's a lot faster. But it seems like this will be. I don't think Axum is taking this city in the short term. Not against onagers, especially. So it seems like this city will, or this game will probably end up being something like a Axum on 7 cities against Carthage on not quite 13. I don't think they are getting this city site anytime soon, or this city site. But they will get this eventually, and then it will be Carthage on 11 against Axum on 7. Or until then it's 11 to 7, and then it will be 12 to 7, and this site will probably be cleared super late. But there's not like Axum is out of the game either, because they will get Heliopolis before Carthage. I don't think there's any way Carthage can contest it with this 18 culture per turn, while Axum already is at 29, and that will only get better with every specialist that they build in the city. Well, every urban specialist that they build in the city. Now, unfortunately for Axum, they don't actually see these units hiding. But I don't think they would go forwards anyways here on this turn yet. The Rincewind is pretty good at scouting. The same has already also been true for Carthage here for Marauder, but praising a player for good scouting when they have a schemer on the throne is kind of unnecessary in a way, because your good scouting just kind of happens. You get it for free, and you pick schemer as your leader archetype. So there's the tribals are cleared. Road is all the way to the sea now. Unfortunately, I don't think Axum has really a way to purchase these last tiles here to get a full connection. This isn't quite enough, I don't think. You'd still need one more before one more urban building here before the borders collapse. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think this This horse would collapse because it's too tall, but I don't think this one would because it's still there's a 2 tile gap even when this finishes. Maybe if this was on the sea, I think then it would collapse again. But the tile collapse rules are not something that are completely intuitive in how they interact with seas and rivers, especially. Or rather, not seas, but coastlines. Interesting getting farming specialists. Well, I don't think farming specialists are terrible in any way, though, but there's not really. Axum doesn't really use a lot of food unless he wants to go for prep for specialists, maybe. Sorry, not specialists, but missionaries. Once he get monasticism. But once you get monasticism, you probably want to start spamming out missionaries so that you can get your monasteries in every city. But that's kind of awkward Axum as well, because they don't even get a religion yet. All of their religion is just the paganism. Instead of having a world religion that would get those missionaries up. I guess they could go for Judaism, but I don't think Axum even has husbandry yet, so that's kind of far away. You wouldn't have hated seeing the... maybe I don't see it from this perspective. Well, I'll check it next turn if the clerics still have the found religion project on the city. Clerics have been changed enough that I don't really remember that one. Clerics is that... You know, that got removed at some point. Train Christians and Manichaeans, but neither of those religions has been founded yet, so I don't think you can build those specialists or those missionaries before the religion has been founded. I don't think that makes much sense. So I'm kind of curious on what's the fastest way for Axum to actually get a religion for those monasteries? Because the Zoro certainly isn't spreading towards the front too quickly. Closest Zoroastrian city is still here on the seaside. Yeah, I guess Neapolis as well, but it's still not a lot of proximity. Oh, but it looks like the other Dimit is now getting close. And it will actually get shipped over by this boat on the following turn if he wants to wait for an anchor here. And I think you should wait for the anchor instead of wasting all of your orders moving forwards on the following. But Carthage is also the point here where it seems very difficult to attack into these forces now. Or if you go in, you certainly won't get out completely alive against this elite nomad warlord and this elephant especially. And the entire coastline is now Carthaginian, so they have the highway up now here. Even reinforcing from this rider's family seat here isn't too slow anymore. It'll be quite a bit longer for Axum to get to that same point. Oh. No, just the... I was hoping that was the event where you get a religion from the other player into your family, into your cities, but unfortunately not. I didn't check if this was rushed. Maybe it was. I don't. Well, this city does have a good amount of training now with the double barracks and the shrine and the mine here. So it's not like these are slow to build anymore for turning this shoteli. But yeah, I'm still curious about this one. I guess it also gives you polytheism, so that even if you don't immediately go for the monasteries, it's not terrible for Aksum, especially when you have your pagan state religion, and then Heliopolis on the horizon as well, or horizon. Sorry. Where's actually the charge? Is it in the capital, I assume? Yeah. Unfortunate that there's no pastures here. I guess you could buy this horse if you try to get Judaism as quickly as possible. Rushing those ranches is a good way to get there pretty quickly. All is complete for Aksum as well. I'd like this boat get here and anchor this turn. I guess moving units in the backline is fine too. Just having to wait one turn for the anchoring is really annoying if you want to move forward on that same turn. But you never have enough orders to do everything you want to do, unfortunately. Oh, running festivals is also interesting. Just really wants to get those citizens for some reason. Is it just for these precious resources, or does he actually want to go for poets? Does he have any poets here? No. I get going for this poets though with the patron's seat. With a lot of multiple copies of precious resources. Means so it's so that every poet is actually double value in culture compared to other cities. Let's see. Oh, nice. Some permanent bonuses to the city. This Carthaginian queen has lived quite a while at this point. Up until 58. It seemed like she has lost some of the stats she had during the game. I don't know if that's from events, because she doesn't seem to be ill. Might have had some stress at some point and lost some of it in these rivalry events. Let's see. Stone cutters everywhere. Oh, a million of these quarries here for the statesman cities. I'm surprised. I don't think we have seen that many decrees here. But I guess if you're running festivals to get your stonecutters out faster, I don't think you really have the... tells me that you haven't really been focusing on pumping those decrees out before you get your marble online. Boom, boom. Kind of interesting though with the how much this city is getting from these pearls just by passively. When you have 5 pearls in your city, you would get plus 5 culture every turn just from having them inside your borders, even without putting nets on them. So this city will hit developing culture for completely free. Same can't be said about this one. But it's very nice getting a frontline city like this to developing culture so that you can rush out of it. Unfortunately though, Carthage doesn't really have the opportunity to constantly rush just because of the lacking the techs or the leader archetypes to do so. The judges are good, but they unfortunately can't rush military units. And this city is probably too close to their fighting to be that comfortable to build barracks in. Because usually the kind of the workaround for not being able to rush out military units on with judges that instead of those military units you just build your barracks and then you rush your officers in them. Yeah, like I assume we have done here multiple times. With a judge and multiple apprentice officers here. Actually, only one. I'm guessing that Axum is actually too low on resources to really rush stuff out at the moment. They need to keep a gold stockpile so that they can cover their deficit in any other resource. Still hoping to see this boat anchor here. At least before any of these units move further here. Where's the road going at the moment? Seems like Axum has basically given up on trying to even get a road to this city here. Has decided that he will defend what he with what the units that he has here, and trying to move units across these hills is fruitless. Yeah, this was Carthage basically a rush towards Rome this sorry, not Rome, Axum this game. We had a fight here over this city site, and Axum won it with the Dumit warrior. And Carthage currently we did the calculations that Carthage is getting from having the intelligent queen here and then having a intelligent builder here who's dying luckily, and then having an intelligent governor here as well, that this is just Carthage is getting insane amounts of science from all of these governors. That Carthage's science lead is pretty massive at the moment. Axum has been catching up, but Axum has had to actually get real science instead of science from courtiers. No, the Carthage just did Carthage things, and there was a pretty big fight here that Axum won pretty decisively. That like you can see here, that Carthage has lost 6 units and Rincewind has lost none on Axum. That these Axumite units just walked here and killed every single Carthaginian tribal unit. There was basically a 10 tribal unit clump here. Axum did start with an intelligent judge, but the intelligent judge died on turn 30, I think. We can actually see here. The intelligence judge died on 31, so immediately, as soon as they could basically. Now they are on another intelligence judge. So, no, this is doesn't show correctly, right? Oh, they did get intelligent at some point. They got I'm sure that they didn't have intelligent all the time. I remember that them being frugal on something else instead of intelligence, so they must have gotten intelligent just recently. Because this was when the queen died. Maybe they got it immediately after coronation. But here the real advantage for Carthage, of course, is that they have this huge coastal network that Carthage can just reinforce forever, and Axum doesn't have the same bonus. Axum is benefiting from the fact that they can get the 6th ranked unique unit from a couple of cities, and they have a patron's capital that will get hit legendary really quickly. Was this 35 per turn already? And there's a Heliopolis in the game, so Axum will get Heliopolis. There's basically no ability for Carthage to contest. But in terms of graphs, Carthage is still leading in military, but the Carthage's military is basically just this. I believe this is an event chariot. If I had to guess what this comes from, a tech card elephant, and then just a couple of axes and a couple of upgraded tribal units, while Axum's army is slingers and a couple of dumits. So it's not a. It's pretty annoying for Axum though that there's a vigilant queen on the Carthaginian throne, and this city will have walls soon. That this city is actually really difficult to break into once it gets walls. Family opinion though, pretty good for Carthage. Was pretty good for Axum last I checked as well. Getting a judge next in line for Carthage. For techs, going for just got machinery. This is a really fast machinery for Carthage. I'm not sure what they will go for next. Free chariot. It's these ultrawide maps are kind of interesting in how long it takes for units to actually get to the front line. Even if this chariot spawns in Carthage next turn, or Carthago next turn, it probably will take 3 turns to reinforce even through the sea route. Mostly because these mountains here, or these volcanoes, are kind of weird in how they section this map off into this middle portion and then the rear portions that the players can't really affect in any meaningful way. Makes this coastal movement a lot slower when you have to disembark and move across these 3,000 and embark again. Instead of just getting to move freely through the entire coastline. But the size of the map is really notable when Axum is building these two mid warriors from this backline city here and then has to walk them all the way to the front line. That even he has rode it all the way and then can get a couple of turns of naval movement. These units still take 4 turns to get to the front line. Close to 4 turns at least. But the scary thing for Axum here is that Carthage is already at. This was a 20 city site map And this is the midpoint, so both players had 9, and this is 10, 11, and then 9 more. So Carthage is already at 12 cities, and it seems likely that Carthage will get the 13th as well. Sorry, Carthage as it is at 11, will get 12 here and might get 13 here. So then it will be 13 cities against 7 cities, and that's just that's a lot fewer build queues that you have. It's well, Axum is kind of forced to go for an as early as an aggressive play on the city here as they can, or then they kind of have to try to get this city without Carthage trying to meddle too badly in that. I was convinced for a moment that I'm seeing things because these leaders are basically identical in their traits. If they swap Frugal for Delver, and then the archetypes, of course. For laws, we have. This is Axum is on Divine Rule Slavery Centralization. We'll grab Monasticism for Polytheism, I assume. At least initially you usually want to go for Polytheism, so you get your shrines everywhere for Heliopolis. Then you can swap over to Monotheism and get the orders from that. Neither player has went for land consolidation. It's turn 43 and there are 5 resources in the first two cities, and then there's 6th one here. So this is just a lot of science that both players have left on the table. Actually there's even one more for 7, 8. 8 land consolidation resources in the first 5 cities. But both players have went for other stuff, so Carthage went for basically every single free card for that he could get, bonus card. And then machinery, while Axum went for monasteries. Or is it actually got monasticism? So it seems like neither player really focused on getting the growth up super quickly. For Axum is it's very understandable for Axum, because when you are playing against Carthage and you see Carthage on your own third of the map, it's kind of difficult to try to go for something as low as land consolidation, especially when you don't get any land consolidation units. This is one of the good things for Axum this match has been that the only elephants on the map are here, and this is so far from anything, any cities that it's not really reasonable for Carthage to expand all the fort to actually get these into the borders. You would need to. Well, I think Carthage still has colonies. With colonies you could do it. It's not that terrible to get it with colonies. You already have these 2 units, so 3 turns of tile buying. But so Carthage is playing this match mostly without its unique unit. This is the only city that can build them with the elephant project. Otherwise he's relying on just on mercenaries for the most part. Mercenaries, onagers and axemen. He just has a lot of these mercenaries at this point. A lot of them died as well. I think basically every single unit that Carthage lost here was some mercenary unit that was just a complete slaughter of three strength tribals against these steadfast units and this Dimit. Even before the disarm bonus, this unit would hit those tribals for 13-14 damage. And it's not even a champion's Dimit. This is kind of a bait move here for Axum, that poking this city to see what Carthage does in response. But I don't really know if Axum could actually do anything if Carthage decides to go in here. Because this boat isn't anchored yet, and it will need a one turn to anchor. So these units are really far from the fight with all of these hills being in the way. Like, yeah, if I mouse over, so these units from the city of Edgemara can't actually get to even to Matara. They would need force march to do anything to help here before the boat anchors. And once the boat anchors, it's the one turn wait time for that to take action. Actually, I didn't check where the Stella went. There was one from the first leader dying. Because I don't think you can wave that. Maybe he sold, grabbed the stone instead of the Stella. Because the first level of the Stella isn't that powerful, it's just plus 10%, so getting the immediate resources instead of that is, I think, something that you can do without it being too painful for you to give up. It's the second level and the further ones are the ones that are actually... what was the called? Stella? So this is just 10. But the Grand starts getting 25, then 50% on the last one. Especially the training Stella is super powerful if you can get it to your champion seat. Getting doubled training, or not double training, but 50% extra training lets you get to that territory where you start actually overflowing training. And once you start overflowing training, you can start doing some silly stuff with one-turning your unique units and stuff like that. Now, the unfortunate thing for Axum is that they have monasticism, but they don't have a religion, so they can't actually get monks. Sorry, not monks, missionaries. Because the cleric's family seat cannot train Judean or Zoroastrian disciples. They can only get Christians and Manichaean, and there's no Judaism in the game, so those monasteries will take a long time to come online. Because Axum doesn't have pastures, so they can't get Judaism at all. And Carthage has pastures, but hasn't decided to put specialists on them. So Carthage is not spawning Judaism either. Of course, monasticism isn't terrible for Axum because you do get the polytheism, monotheism from that. But it's not helping the science for Axum at all. It was a pretty unfortunate tech choice for Axum though when they got monasticism, because it was coinage architecture monasticism, and I don't think Axum really wanted any of those texts in that moment. Arches are kind of difficult to mass before you get lumber mills, and the economic bonus if you don't want to go for arches is ranges, and ranges are also very difficult to build if you don't have lumber mills. Grabbing forest before Carthage. I think it's kind of necessary to do that when you are trying to go for siege engines. I don't think you can really decide to do something else than go for them. This actually might get to an encampment before it gets cleared. Ah no, this is steadfast, so there's no chance that this unit is in any kind of danger from these tribals. The only scary thing for this slinger if some of these Carthaginians try to go and kill it. There is a elite nomad warlord here, so these warlords are not pleasant to fight against even if you have steadfast. But Carthage is still not doing anything about these slingers. I wonder what city this came from. Seems like it's lost. I think you'd want to go to the ocean as quickly as you can, so you can swim around to Karalis instead of having to walk there. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. Doomed on the Carthaginian leader now. And the prince is a strict judge. Unfortunately for Carthage, he's not really building any infantry units to get use of this strict. But just building elephants and I assume onagers once this forestry comes online. But the nice thing about these tiny maps is, this is a dual-sized map. So, nice part about these dual maps is that even on ultra-wide we do see to get some fighting on these first sessions. So, doesn't need to take until the second session. Because I would be surprised if Rincewind doesn't go in here, knowing how decisive he likes to be when attacking. It might be that he's a bit slow on orders at the moment. Many orders isn't quite enough to do everything you want to do here, even with naval movement. But you certainly have enough teammates at this point with 3 on the field. Like a like an RTS buddy of mine likes to say when we play some of those slower RTS like Broken Arrow or Steel Division is that a bit that the 1 is none, 2 is 1, and the 3 is actually what you need to do stuff with. That 1 unit is just there to die, 2 units is enough to stop an enemy attack, and you actually need 3 units if you want to do anything more than defend. So it's 3 damage is enough to actually start threatening to take the city, or enough to kill an enemy unit every turn. here's a real question. Does Rincewind skip tutoring to go for the offensive here? Can I actually see it here? No, not yet at least. Just running hold court missions instead of... Oh yeah, he did get polytheism already, so holding court is pretty free. It's pretty funny though, how Rincewind is playing this, that every turn for the last 3 turns, so first this slinger, it gets on the hill, hits Karalis, doesn't get hit in return. Next turn, this slinger arrives on this hill, hits Karalis, doesn't get hit in return. The turn following, this slinger arrives on this and starts hitting Karalis, so I assume that if Carthage doesn't do anything, there will be a slinger on one of these hills hitting Karalis on the next turn as well. Just drip feeding these slingers forwards. But I don't mind this drip feed at all when you have these Timits here back in the... well, kind of in reserve, but they are also close enough that they can go and hit whatever comes forward here. Of course, if these sea tiles get blocked, then it gets a bit more awkward, but... it doesn't take that many more hits before he can actually take Karalis in a single turn. Nah, unfortunately slingers aren't just super powerful anymore when you have... oh, of course, now the queen is dead, so they probably will do a bit more damage again. With the vigilant being lost. Let's see, do we saw everything? Oh, just gets an event. Patronage from one of the gods. Marriage offers succession. I never know what they think of these. Maybe you take fears here just because all of the Axomite army is infantry units. But it's not like you have a huge amount of sinks for your extra training when you don't have a zealot on the throne. Or yeah, it looks like Carthage just upgraded most of the tribal units as well. So this is 2 death slingers, but I don't think it's more than 2 death slingers. It's actually kind of surprisingly difficult to be even 2 death slingers. Still needs help from something. Yeah, that's enough. 2 death slingers. Can you get the third death slinger here? The counter punch isn't that scary either, though. There's still the elephant in reserve. This is the scariest unit that Carthage has on the field at the moment. Aside from maybe this Onage, but this Onage isn't set up yet. Got that one instead. Oh, interesting. I didn't pay attention to this. But this slinger, instead of going for the hill and just hitting the camp to kill it, actually went around. And now this camp will get the upgrade to the next level, to the encampment. And that encampment is actually kind of difficult to deal with. It starts getting to the point where the defense bonus is large enough to actually make killing the units in it difficult. Now this won't be an easy turn for Axum next turn. A lot of the tribal units have died, so these steadfast slingers are starting to get outclassed here against these 6 strength units. So it's these mostly up to these Demits here to actually get kills. And that doesn't seem obvious on how you do it. I should if this hits for 7, or this hits for 8, I wonder how much the next hits. Does it hit for 9 then, or does it hit for 11? Like that 20% combat bonus reduction. Combat strength reduction. Let me get a kill. Just clearing out the barbarians here instead of going for the Axumite on full force. But this is kind of scary for both players. For Axum mostly because this is Axum's army here. So if Axum loses this fight here, it could be a knockout blow. But it's also for Carthage in the way that Carthage is still kind of split up in where their forces are. The saving, I think that makes me think that this is way more scary for Axum is that this elephant is still here in reserve, so there's no chance of this unit dying next turn. And as long as this elephant is alive, there's always a chance that it can just bowl through basically all of these Axumite troops in a route chain. Let's see. Some upgrades. There's one more there, but I didn't notice what that one was. Rhetoric finished. Some barracks. They're not some. This is kind of a difficult fight as well because I don't think there are any immediately obvious tactics here that I can see. Yeah, it's not enough to do it up the chariot here. That's not enough yet. I don't think trading two slingers and a militia for a chariot is not worth it yet. So you need to get something else here as well. So it's actually good. And that's the difficult part here. That I was trying to figure out if you could get this chariot in 2 hits and then get a big cleave on the axeman somewhere and use that to get maximum damage, but I mean that doesn't seem super easy to do. The next softest target is this axeman here, or maybe this horseman in the forest. But even they aren't easy targets. And now there's of course the chance of this elephant trying to do something silly here. The river blocking this slinger away from the elephant makes it a bit more difficult to do any nonsensical route chains here, but there's always a chance that you could force march here. Then it starts getting scary again. You could also, because you are Axum and you have the Shatelai, just decide that I'm not super worried about killing every single unit that I hit with this, and smack this flamethrower, for example, so it does 20% less damage next turn. Of course, killing it is always better because that unit does 0% damage instead of 80%, but wouldn't be terrible either. And it would block this square so that the... Well, it doesn't matter, I guess, for the route chain, because this unit can always move away and leave the space open for the elephant here. So that you can start your route chain through this slinger. But this is, I think, worth it here. When you can trade two slingers in and a militia for a elite nomad and a chariot. But as long as this elephant is alive, it's still scary for Axum. Definitely deciding if he wants to try to save the scout or try to move the mid forward here this turn, because he can't do both. Well, technically he could hop forwards once with this Dimit, but and then double by orders, but I don't think you want to leave your Dimit on this tile. Then if you want your Dimit to the fight, you want it on here. Or even further down somewhere. Just go for it, and I assume that it's double order by and run away. Oh, maybe you're fine if the elephant actually kills this scout instead of coming to fight you here. Of course, he doesn't know what Carthage has in the pipeline, and once you see this coastline being completely covered, you kind of have to assume that if you don't move the scout here, it's dead. Because anything, a unit could spawn here and come kill the scout. Surprised to see no Demit in the pipeline for Axel. Taking a turn off to the Russia officer, I guess. Unfortunate. Ambitions for Carthage. When you see that there's an ambition to stockpile 5,000 gold, and that seems like the most reasonable of your ambition, is not a great place to be. No. There's definitely something that Carthage can kill here in return, but the question is that if it's worth it for Carthage to do so. Because the city of Karalis is actually in real danger here. I'm very impressed by how good our Rincewind is at evaluating whether he can go in or not. For example, I wasn't completely sure next turn which side this was favoring, this engagement, but I think it's already pretty clear that Axum will end on top here. Unless there's something absolutely nonsensical with this route chain here. But even the route chain doesn't seem that scary anymore, because of the river tile here blocking access to the slinger from this. So you get a Dumit here, and then you can poke this. You still need one more hit from something to get through, and you don't have any more range units here. So it's not... I think step back, punch is enough to get through. But then your elephant is on a scary, unprotected tile facing this Dumit, and all of these units can start hitting it. And you don't have eyes on this tile, so I think pushing forward with this elephant is scary. Next elephant is 2 turns away. This chariot is pretty far away. So Carthage doesn't really have a reinforcement either for this fight. Aside from this onager. But there's not really a good place for this onager to go. Aside from for being force marched into the city center. Yeah, this is enough to get an extra route. No, not even. You don't need to route if you don't want to route. I get it why you would do this, because it's efficient to route here, but it's also scary now. I guess it's less scary because you blocked this tile with the axeman. That there's not the... You don't get that much focus fire on this elephant anymore. Yeah, one more Dumit here. Finished last turn. But it will take multiple turns for this to get to the front line again. Actually, it looks like Axum did get the tile here. Still could collapse borders once more here to get the most amount of coastal movement. So it's not... The reinforcement route for Axum is also reasonable now. This is it's still long, but it's not terrible anymore. It's just annoyingly long and not debilitatingly long. Let's see what does Carthage have in the build queue. Onagers, extra orders, forums. Not really any military units though. Aside from a couple of slingers. Now going for combo. Could see... Yeah, this is the Queen dying just cratered Carthage's science output. Went from 72 to 40. So the Queen was responsible for 32 science per turn. Might be actually that the Queen died and this governor died at the same time, so it could be the combination of the Queen and this, the builder governor of this city might have combined for 32 science. So Axum is actually now in a science per turn lead, even if the science delta is still not in his favor. In Axum's favor, I mean. Let's see. I think Axum would be so happy if they had a single unit with route here. There's an insane route chain, but you don't get any of those units here, so I think retreating is probably the more prudent option here. Yeah, because you look at this and you realize that you can't reasonably kill this elephant without it taking your entire turn, so I think you just run away. Like you can see them saying in chat that this will be a truce until a couple of more of these Dummits get to the front line. Let's see, how close is this to 42 turns to legendary at the moment. This is before this one apprentice poet only. So this will probably hit the legendary culture pretty quickly. I'd be surprised if this 42 might get down to something like for 20, 30 turns. So this will probably hit legendary before turn 70. No, not probably at least before turn 80. because of the super powerful bonus from patrons here for the 75%. Carthage is also doing well in culture, but getting to there's such a huge difference in between getting to strong and getting to legendary. I'd really like to see Axum either get this slinger away from this camp or get an extra unit to it somehow to help it, because this single slinger has no way of clearing this camp alone. It could have done it a couple of turns ago, I think, when it had a good general on it. And it could get this camp killed in 3 turns, but this it's now upgrading to an encampment, and then this unit will only hit for 2s or 3s on the camp itself. And at that point, there's no way this unit could actually clear this camp anymore. Because fighting ghouls in a forest is not something you want to do against the Gesate. The Gesati get that. I don't remember if they get the Ranger or if they get the better version of Ranger, even the. It's unique. I believe it's just. Yeah, it's just regular Ranger plus 25%. But those units are scary in trees. Nice. I don't think I've ever seen this event actually, weirdly enough. Because like you can say those slavery events every single game, but freedom events not so much. Lots on citizen in Empress, it's such a difficult bonus to evaluate. It's a lot of citizens, but I'm not sure how valuable those citizens actually are. Replacing the scout here. Unfortunately would take forever. The only city that actually is the only cities that are reasonable to build civilian units out of are pretty rare on this map. There's not a lot of growth resources in general, especially without pastures. It's the one nice bonus with these coastal resources is that, especially in these traded cities, they can give a lot of growth even without any specialists on them. In this 5 Windfall fishery city, getting just 38 growth per turn is kind of insane. I don't really even know what you would use this much growth for. I guess you got 1 turn scouts and militia. 1 turning scouts is actually really annoying. Once you start 1 turning scouts and you can use them on top of your military units, so that it's more difficult to get onto the tiles, it's actually really annoying. Because it takes very late into the game until you start one-shotting scouts. So taking 2 extra actions to kill, to take control of a tile is very annoying. Still no Judaism in the game, so Axum is very unhappy about that. Let's see. I wonder how long this settler has been standing here. I remember seeing it a couple of turns ago already. But Carthage will take forever to clear this camp just because he doesn't want to. He'd much rather commit all of his troops to the front line instead of dealing with this city. And this city is actually a really good city, just because of the ore itself. But then you even get these double citrus here for to put groves on once you get the land consolidation. So it's not like it's a city that is super far away, like this side is kind of far away from both players because of this hilly forested trail that you need to take to get to it. And then it's not a super valuable city anyways, it's just a bunch of goats. But this city is both close to your capital and valuable in the amount of resources it gives you, so it's actually kind of hurtful for Carthage not to have it. But that's just because of how Carthage's expansion went, that they just beelined along the coastline as quickly as they could. All the way to Karalis, so that's the downside of doing that. Unlucky, actually super unlucky for Axum that these goal units, they triggered the raid, and they all swapped from Gallic to Raider. And because they are Raiders that are low tier enough that they don't have the Gallic unit types, he actually will miss this legacy now, I think. Because I don't think these units have the goal tag anymore now that they're raiding. So he'll fail this ambition. Are there any good leaders here? Well, there's a warlike judge. And I guess inspiring is good as well. If you can put the inspiring character somewhere where that inspiring is matters. Unfortunately, I don't think the capital is one of those places. I don't think you want to take our leader away from there. But putting a inspiring character in the city, for example, would be completely fine. Just so that you can start get that ticking culture here, so that you eventually will get to developing. What are the ironworking metaphysics doctrine? Yeah, really. Not really what you want to see. I guess metaphysics is always fine, but so is sovereignty. Actually, this is always fun to see that for sovereignty, which do you 15 training and 83 gold or 5 science. I think it's pretty difficult to say no to that amount of gold and training, even if the science is nice. How much would it be here? Actually, only 4 training. But 4 training is actually enough to hit a breakpoint again for these Shotelai. Would 3 turn them then. Actually enough for both Timits and Shotelai would push this to 3 and this to 4. And Axum isn't that far away from getting the 7 low timing here. Already at 5, this is 6 and this would be the 7th one. Now the problem for Axum of course is that this 7 low timing is quick enough that he doesn't actually have any strong cities aside from the capital. And the capital doesn't want to build units because it wants to ramp up science by just building more and more of the specialists instead. Doesn't even have really the military infrastructure to build these units in any reasonable amount of time. 13 units. If you have the choice between building a 3-turn apprentice poet and a 17-turn shot ally, I think I will always build a poet instead. So, kind of unfortunate here for Axum in terms of the hitting the timing way before he's actually ready to build those units. The same is also true for Carthage from what it looks like. And Carthage is going for Jebel Barkal. That's I like to see that. I really like Jebel Barkal. I think it might be a hot take or an unpopular opinion to say, but I think I prefer like going for this maybe even over the Ishtar Gate, which is also available. Yeah, and the Rincewind is saying the same thing here that I said noticed earlier that it flipped to Raider instead of dying as a goal, so it doesn't count for the ambition. Unfortunate for him, but one of the oddities of playing with these, or rather, with the players clearing the camp so fast that they never get to the tribal units that they actually stay tribals when they start go to raid, instead of just being these barbarian skirmishers. Happens with the players expanding so fast, and then with the playing with noble tribes instead of there's two levels of that. There's raging is the last one, but there's also one in between. Might be just strong tribes or something like that. But I'll take a quick bathroom break here, so I'll leave you with the camera here for a couple of minutes. Be right back. Seems like while I was taking a break, the players have decided that they will call it quits here as well. Good timing or bad timing, I don't really know which one that was. But we can, when the players are stopping here, we can take a last look at the stats here. So, Specialist Axum is leading, Workers Carthage has more, Military Axum is leading, but fake because Carthage has a million tribals. Yeah, you can see that Carthage has 12 tribals. Unit lost, Axum has lost a couple of units here now, but Carthage has also lost a good amount. Unfortunately for Axum, these are all real units, while for Carthage these are basically all mercenaries. Low was 5 to 5, but Axum will hit 7 on the very next turn, I believe. Technology is Carthage leading by a lot. That's mostly it. Improvements is probably also. Carthage has a lot more improvements. Civics, Carthage is leading. Training. Carthage is leading overall, but Axum has a slight lead at the moment. Science. Carthage is leading overall by a lot. I know that Carthage got an event that Mike would have given them 200 extra science as well on top of this. But it's getting closer, so Axum is leading at the moment on science per turn, but Carthage is leading in total. Orders, even-ish, but Carthage is leading. Will score pretty... No, there's a definite advantage for Carthage, but this isn't a terrible advantage at the moment, so this is Carthage leading, but not by a huge amount, I don't think. So this is definitely a pretty interesting spot to leave the game in, because Carthage is leading, I think on most accounts, but Axum will hit Heliopolis before Carthage does, and Axum is leading in tech or science per turn at the moment. So it's this interesting position where Axum, the longer the game goes on, the more Axum will catch up in science, but the more Carthage will have time to develop and start actually leveraging all of these separate build queues that they have, while Axum is really crunched on territory here. Doesn't really have much space to expand into. But it'll be an interesting next session, definitely. Will be a lot of fighting over this city here. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.